Hello everyone and welcome to the Carnivore Chronicles. In this video I will let you know, as a plant survivor, 10 reasons why you should really think twice before eating plant materials ever again. Let's go. I promise I'll be as short as possible, okay? Reason 1. First of all, fruits that you buy in the store are just never mature. I don't care where you live, whether you live exactly where they grow them or you live far away. If they're store-bought, there's a 90% chance they have not been let to mature. Why is that? Well, for different reasons. Because they can't collect them all at once. It's too expensive to collect them in stages, which is also why we have lost almost all of the natural varieties, because it was not sustainable in big scale to collect them only when they were mature. Plus, when they're mature, they usually don't last too long. Guess why? Because they're supposed to be eaten. And the fruits that are not mature contain a ginormous amount of toxins that over time accumulate in your body, and if you eat too many, then you can have serious problems. Some of those anti-nutrients and poisons are as bad as cyanide, which is present in a lot of fruits that are not mature. Oxalates, they're even in the fruits that are present when mature. When they're not mature, they contain a ton more, especially in things like kiwis. And oxalates are really bad for you. And lectins. Lectins are present especially when something is not mature. And all of these components are really bad for every human being. Some deal with it better, so they can get away with having more. Some are really sensitive to it, but maybe you don't know that, and so you have no idea that you can put together the fruit that you just ate with you're not feeling well, like a day, a week, or even a year from now. Keep that in mind. Mature fruit picked from a tree that's in front of you is not that bad. It does not contain all of these components that the tree actually makes for a very specific reason, to protect the fruit up until maturity. Nature is not stupid. It wants the fruit to be eaten, but one, eaten by the correct animal, because it has to make sense. It has to propagate itself. And two, eaten only at the correct time, because nature knows when the correct time is. We don't. Reason number 2. Contrary to what is established as a well-known fact, we don't need fiber. And proof of that is just answer my question. What part of us is made of fiber? I didn't freeze. I just wanted to give you some time to think. Well, the answer is nothing. Nothing inside of this body is made of fiber. So if nothing that makes us is fiber doesn't make us, why would we want to eat it? It helps bowel movement. That's a myth too, because if you don't eat fiber, you don't need fiber to eliminate fiber. We don't need fiber. Think about it. We really don't need fiber, okay? That was reason number 2. Reason number 3, this is going to be very fast. I don't know how to put it. For this too, like, people find lots of reasons why it's not true, but I tell you one word: pesticides. Pesticides. And I don't care if it's organic. I don't care if it's organic. Pesticides are everywhere. Organic just has less. But pesticides, there's nothing else to say. This might be a little bit longer and really heartfelt. Land destruction. Again, contrary to common belief, it's not cows that destroy the lands. Cows and cattle in general, when it's raised as it's supposed to be raised, as it existed since the beginning of time, literally of time, not of humanity, of time, of nature, since they have evolved to exist, always lived in balance with nature. Your little garden at home is probably not just going to destroy the planet, but the way we raise any type of plant food, be it fruit, vegetable, grains, is destroying the planet. Even where they're turning them into biodynamic fields. Those are the best of the best of the best. Yet, most of them are still monocrops, and therefore the environment cannot sustain it. Environment wants biodiversity. Growing food for all of humanity as it's stated, which is only just for profit. Humanity gives it a nice title, a nice new fresh layer of paint, is non-sustainable. Your backyard garden is probably more sustainable than anything else bought from the store. Anything that is not in season, that is not natural to that exact latitude, that is not natural for that moment in time, and has not survived or is not surviving the climate it is in at this moment, regardless of the fact that whether it has changed or not, is just not supposed to be eaten by us. Why? Because nature is not stupid. We were healthy. We might died in wars, from injuries, from plagues, but we never died of everything we're dying of now. So we were so smart, we eradicated diseases just to create a ton of new diseases that are not real diseases. It's just our body is getting sick because what we give it as food is not nutritious, and so it breaks down and can't deal with it. It has to be right latitude, right time of the year, right amount, and I don't know, eat it outside in the sun, because that's going to be even better. Number 5, closely related to number 4, we're depleting the nutrients from the soil. And we're not just depleting them in intensive farming, we're depleting them also in our backyard, because we want things to grow. So we keep adding stuff to force nature to do something that it's just not supposed to do naturally. All these tips and tricks to grow more, bigger, faster are destroying the soil, regardless of what you do. Even if you put tons of chicken manure, which is as natural as it gets, unless you have the chickens roaming in your backyard, which you probably don't, because if you have a garden with chicken manure, the chickens are probably eating all your backyard. So guess what? You're not doing that. So that too is not natural. Anything that goes out of what is supposed to happen destroys something on this planet, whether it's the soil or directly us. But guess what? If we destroy the soil, the microbiome that's in the soil dies. The death microbiome, death soil, is killing the growth of natural and native plants. Those kill what all the other mammals that are above it. We're interconnected. There's just no way. We're so interconnected. We deplete the soil, we deplete ourselves, whether you eat vegetables or not. 6, lots of plant materials contain what is called non-nutritive amino acids, or also non-proteic amino acids. These are amino acids that are very similar to our amino acids, but just not the same. So what happens, they have found by science, and if you haven't seen my video, check it out. It's been proven that these non-nutritious amino acids are so similar to ours that if we eat enough of those and not enough of the correct amino acids found in, guess what, meat, animal food, we can incorporate them in our proteins. Now, guess what happens? I mean, if you're building, let's say, a 5-story house, and you build one of these stories with fake cement, what happens? It can crash, or it's at risk of breaking. And this is exactly what happens within us. Some of these non-nutritious and non-proteic amino acids are called cavananin, others azetidine, but as I said, I made a video about that, so if you're sciencey or if you don't believe me, just check this video. There's lots of research about it. It's a fact, well-known fact. I'm a survivor, I'm a plant survivor, still recovering from very, very life-threatening diseases. And I am pretty sure that my extremely rare autoimmune disease was caused, at least in part, by many of these components that are found in plants. I was already born with some DNA mutation, like the MTHFR, COMT2, which probably puts me at higher risk than other human beings. but it doesn't put you in a safe place, because unless you know your whole genome, and unless you are as healthy as it gets. But now remember, up until 3-4 years ago, already in my 40s, I was crazy healthy. I thought I was crazy healthy, yet I was already sick. I just didn't know, because this sickness has been going on for a long time. So don't think you're safe just because you don't feel anything yet. Just make sure you get informed, you know what you're eating, what you're putting in your mouth, really, really. Not just what social media says or what influencer says. You have a brain, and trust me, you're allowed to use it, okay? Good, let's move on. Number 7. 7, yeah. These are called anti-nutrients. And it sounds almost impossible that these are contained in our fruits and vegetables too, but they are. There's just no way around it. They are. What is an anti-nutrient if you have never heard of it? And I haven't. I mean, I had never heard of an anti-nutrient until I turned carnivore. Actually, this term is probably the one term that intrigued me the most, that made me look into all this stuff. I was a vegetarian. I was a full-on believer in vegetarianism. And I appreciated vegans for saving the earth and all these things, but I would get too hungry on a vegan diet. I tried so many times and I always failed, and now I know why. Anyhow, an anti-nutrient is actually a pretty simple thing. Let's say you eat something, you eat a handful of almonds. Almonds are very high in oxalate. Or you make a green smoothie, a super smoothie with lots of chard and spinach and almond milk or oat milk, right? Those are all foods that contain a crazy amount of oxalates. Now, oxalates, if you've never heard of it, are little tiny crystals made like little crystal shards that go into your body. If you have too many, they can get stuck everywhere, not all at once, but over time. I am not good at excreting them. Some people are better, but still, if you eat a lot, you can get poisoning of it. And that too is a long-term effect. You will probably not get poisoned by one smoothie, but if you do it over time, it will eventually build up, like smoking. If you make this big smoothie that you think, like I did, that is super healthy because your nutritionist, like mine, tells you that you should drink that because it gives you a lot of energy. Now let's break it down. Yes, those components contain a lot of what we call nutrients, but here's the catch. Oxalates will bind to those nutrients and steal them for you. So the same plant that contains those nutrients also contains anti-nutrients. Oxalates bind with calcium, bind with magnesium, can bind with potassium. They can bind with a tremendous amount of what we actually need. So all the good thing you're doing, trying to get healthy, because I totally believe you wanted to do that and you so want to do that, that's what I did. I didn't get sick just out of the blue. I got sick for what I did to actually be healthy. Isn't that fucked up as hell? I mean, it's just bad. It's just bad. None of us is bad. I wasn't bad. I wasn't a bad person. And I wasn't in a bad frame of mind when I didn't believe carnivores that we needed meat. I just believed the mainstream idea. I believed the person that shouted louder. I will say it in a very low tone. Plants and fruits contain anti-nutrients. Look it up, inform yourself. This is fact number 8. 5, 6, 7, 8. Sorry. You know I'm autistic. I have problems with some stuff. Anyhow, number 8. Fructose. Fructose is probably the worst thing you can eat. After oxalates, anti-nutrients, non-nutritious amino acids, and, well, I guess we have to make a big bin. Anyhow, fructose. Now, the interesting thing is that I saw a video yesterday that I will link in the description that increased my knowledge about fructose even more and blew my mind. Again, my mind keeps being blown away by how bad fructose is for us. Now, mind you, As I said, you have a peach tree. You go out there when the peaches are nice and juicy and ripe. You eat a peach tree under the sun where you're supposed to eat it. You won't die. You won't have terrible effects. It won't happen. But be aware of at least these two following things. There's a lot more, but I want to give you just two to keep it short. One, fructose is stored away as fat almost immediately. It's like boom. And the reason for that is that fructose stimulates hunger. You heard me right. Contrary to glucose, when you have a glucose spike because you eat something, even sugar or even meat, whatever you eat, whatever we eat, increases our glucose because we get energy and the glucose goes up. In a healthy person, this is absolutely normal. It's okay. It will go down, no problem. In a sick person or someone that is insulin resistant, this is a big problem because it will increase your insulin resistance. And we never test for fructose resistance. There's a way to do it, but it's complicated and we don't do it. People that are fructose resistant are way sicker than people that are insulin resistant. There's been studies that just came out, or at least I just discovered. I don't actually know when they came out. I never looked, but these studies show that in animals that are ready to start the process to hibernate, they start by eating fruits. Why? Because fruit stimulates their appetite. They eat fruit, their body tells them they're super hungry, and they start eating like crazy. They go into this, oh, I need to make fat. Yes, they do, because they hibernate. They won't eat for 6 months. Humans, we just keep eating. We don't need to hibernate, so we don't need fructose to tell us we're hungry. And this is why I remember fighting with one of my nutritionists, and I think even with my partner a few times, because I kept telling them when I eat fruit, I get hungry. Meaning I was healthy. I was actually really healthy. If fructose stimulates hunger. So thinking that you might eat a fruit and quench your hunger, think again, because that's not going to happen. Which is also why it doesn't work when we eat tons of snacks and juices and fruit here and fruit there and dried fruit. I'm like, to feel less hungry. It will never happen. You will feel more hungry. All that sugar inside of you is only used to boost your fat. Want to get fat? Eat fructose. It will work. Jesus, maybe I should eat fructose. Maybe we'll be able to put on some weight. I didn't think about it. Yeah. See, good to know. Ooh, number 9. I know how to make number 9. Here. That's better. 9. I want to do this, a special one for seed oil. What does it have to do? It's plant. Seed oil is a plant material. You can look into the history of seed oil and discover that the industry just didn't know what to do with this material that was left over from the industry, and then they gave it to, I believe, mice, and they kind of all developed cancer within a short amount of time, but that wasn't enough to stop them from saying, okay, it doesn't taste too bad, let's say it's a good oil for condiments. Then it wasn't very successful, so they snuck it into food to preserve stuff. Yes, it will preserve everything because that stuff is already rancid, so it won't make anything go rancid. It's plastic. You're putting plastic everywhere, okay? If you're still okay with that, good. But now listen to this new research, and I will hopefully find it and be able to link it in the description, showed that the plaques of cholesterol that are actually found within the artery are way more similar or congruent with plaques made of seed oil, not the fat that you eat from an animal, the real fat, the fat we have been eating since the emergence of human being. No, it's the fat found in seed oil. Because they discovered that these plaque building, actually the real fat, seems to try and get rid of those, whereas the seed oil fat clamps them together and makes them hard. Oh no, thank you. 10, last one. It's going to be fast, People say you need it for your microbes, your gut microbiome and everything. Truth is, no, because your microbiome is going to be perfect for what you're going to eat. So if you eat plant materials, you need a microbiome to help you destroy the shit that isn't plant. If you don't eat them, you don't need all that stuff. And the microbiome you'll get by eating meat will be the perfect microbiome for you. And actually, you will not need to increase the efficacy of your microbiome because you'll be less inflamed. Less inflammation, more health. Told you this was going to be pretty fast, and that's it. If you have doubts or questions, leave it in the comments. And if you have an experience to share, leave that in the comments too. I'll be very glad to hear it and discuss it with you. I'll see you soon, and take care.